most despicable person on this planet, I would still give you one more chance. There is one more chance according to the great lords, and these are the lords of the Elohaem. There is a structure that this lordship is known. They are known throughout the worlds above. They have been contaminating the central vortexes for many billions and billions of years. By contamination, I mean the vortexes were realigned to another species that brought hatred. Therefore, their love was contaminating the hatred of the world. I think it's time we put love back to where love is, and we start talking about love as being what is love really all about. I don't believe many of us truly know love, and I don't think many of us were brought up with a great amount of love in our hearts, because we were not shown much love by those around us. I think love is when we're truthful with each other. I think love is when we know that we don't have to perform or pretend or to take energy from others to elevate ourselves to being above them, because that is not love. We don't have to teach people things we don't know either, because that is not love. We can share our opinions, and we can ask for their opinion in return. That is a much more loving movement of making an offering and receiving an offering. That is actually the realization of love. And it is rather like the formation of the 8, because when you look at an 8, it's circular. It's 2 circles moving. It's the eternal wheel of life, the never-ending structure that takes us round in circles and backwards and forwards. We never miss the bend when we take love through the form of an 8. We just take ourselves round it, backwards and forwards, and through, until we never end. This is why our species will not die. This is why we will not end. We are reconstructing our hearts at this moment to take us above the green of the natural chakra color, which is the heart essence of the human being. It is also the heart essence of most of the other species. Some of them carry a different skin color, and some of them are covered in fur. Some of them are covered in scales. Some of them don't even have skin, and they are rather strange looking. But I think you quite like them because they're very funny as well. They have a very heightened sense of humor, and I think if you looked at our insides, we'd all laugh as well if we didn't wear the clothes that we wear today to cover our beautiful bodies. Each of us is beautiful in his own right, but the most beautiful thing about us is what we have in our heart, not outside our heart. The most beautiful thing that really holds us together is our love as well for our children, because I believe when people love their children, they actually find a love that is greater than their own love. And I think when we don't love our children more than we love ourselves, then we haven't quite understood the reason for procreating love. The reason for procreating love is that one day, when we look at our children, we see ourselves. And if we've brought them up in beauty and elevated formations of guidance, we should be able to see very healthy, rounded, and beautiful human beings. But the problem is today that we don't see many people who look like this. The problem is today that we only see people who are rather ugly and damaged. And I think most of us in the world today understand our own ugliness and our own damage, because I think most of us at some time or another have been very seriously damaged, either by ourselves or by others, and that we have probably also seriously damaged another human being. I think we can all put our hands up in the air and say, I did this to myself and to somebody else, at least once, if not twice, in my life. And if you don't do that, I'm sorry, I might not agree with you. But if you could seriously say that you never ever harmed anyone, then I think that you should be awarded a gold medal, and you might get one soon. But I think the greatest medal of all is the medal that we hold in our hearts, when we know the construction of love is about beauty, and we understand that beauty is about what we give to the world. And what we can give to the world today is just our love for ourselves, our love for our common species, called humans, because I really don't believe there are so many beings yet in the world. When we actually come back to being human beings, we won't construct banking systems the way we do. We won't construct polluted water systems the way we do. We won't have constructed a form of global warming through a machine called HARP to actually raise water levels, to pull down some of the seafaring energies around the world. We won't have polluted the seas that the coral is dying to the extent that it is. And I fear I may be correct with Metatron's loving arms around my heart, that nobody will be shocked at what I'm saying here, that it is most of our governments that have constructed the downfall of most of our species, because they like to keep us controlled, and they don't like people who have a mind structure like the woman who is bringing in my words. Because once you can all construct like the woman speaking now, you will all know the truth. And when you all know the truth, I don't think there's many a government that will be able to hold his head up anymore and say, you gave me a political right to govern you, and I have sacrificed you upon the altar of my own ego. I have sacrificed you upon the altar of hell, so another planetary species, of which was never welcomed to our planet in love, may continue to remove your gold from this planet, which is where most of your gold bullion that no one can find anymore in their strange banking vault structures, which are under the planet as opposed to in your banks, which don't exist of much money anymore. When they take these banks away and they tell you who's been moving behind the banking systems, you will not be very impressed with quite a few people on your planet. I am not here to tell you today who they are, but I, Metatron, know who every one of them is. And the lady who is speaking in a particularly gentle voice today. If any of you know her, you know she might not be so gentle next time she speaks. Or maybe she will always just be able to be her gentle self, and therefore she will name some names. She might pull some out of the hat in a minute if I'm clever enough to get her to do this. And she might decide that this may be another construction for another date. I, Metatron, am going to leave soon. I'm going to ask the great Lazaramazus to enter the vortex structure of this lady's mind. I am going to ask him to tell you about the colors of the world and why we are a rainbow fighting force. The rainbow fighting force is everywhere. And this is not a construction of people on your planet who make gatherings every summer, though as beautiful as many of them are. The rainbow force is actually everybody, because everybody carries the rainbow in their heart, and everybody is a light globe. I think Lazaramazus would like to enter now and explain the constructions of why he's not so happy with certain groups that hold presidents because they either think they are of blue color or red, or blue and red, or green and gold, or red and green. It doesn't matter what color you wear. It doesn't matter if you walk around in a cape of orange. It doesn't matter if your hair is purple or green or pink. I actually personally think pink hair is very pretty. But that's only because I like pink hearts. Therefore, anything pink to me is particularly beautiful, as is the pink rose. Another story, England, for another time, is when we talk about your rose, your Tudor rose, that wasn't red, and it was not Tudor. So let us think about what the Tudor name really means, and who was behind the Tudor rose of England. Another story for another time, for those of you who like to govern behind the closed walls of our cities, and don't have the guts to stand up in front of the population and tell them now why you are suffocating them, and suffocating them you have done with your lies. I am not going to say that the lady speaking knows everything, though she knows much. I am not going to say that she is the only one on the planet, because as you know there are several people who know quite a lot. I am not going to tell you where she gets her energy from, or where she takes her mind structure from, but I think you understand that if she is talking with the central vortex of the Elohaem, if she is bringing in my heightened mind of Metatron, then she knows absolutely everything that has taken place anywhere on any planet at any time, in any central vortex system, in any part of the radius of the world structures that take through the parallel worlds and reinvest and realign us all into being perfectly beautiful light balls of glorious Godheads, for that is what every single moving, elevated species is, and that is what our hope is for your planet and all the other planets of all the worlds, that each and every one of you will be an elevated light globe of perfection, bringing in children to the world, not of abuse, but of glory, glory and love, and joyous, joyous structures of being.